Welcome to Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad here with Dr. Brian Maher, our superintendent, and one of those topics that just never seems to take a break is budget. And it seems like we're constantly in budget mode, which I guess if you're a good organization, that's a good thing. You don't just focus on budget for a couple of months out of the year. It's constant, and we are kind of in the throes of the budget for the upcoming school year, for the FY20 fiscal year.
You're right, and it's a cyclical thing. You're never complete with the budgeting process. If you finish one budget, you're somewhere in the cycle of the next budget. Exactly. So, for example, right now we are coming to the last few months of a budget, but the budget you're talking about is the budget that'll be in force for the next school year. So we're in the beginning stages of what that looks like. So it never goes away, and I think like good strategic planning, good financial planning is just part of what good organizations do.
Right, and so schools, the majority of funding for schools comes through from our taxpayers, and so there's a lot of weighing out that has to be done to make sure that we're not overspending, that we use every dollar we have wisely. That process includes 19 budget committees in the district and a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to really decide what programs we're going to fund, and if something's not working, how do we transfer that money over to another project that could be working for us. A lot of complexity in all of that.
Just keep going, you're nailing it. That's right. You know, you had me when you said 19 committees working on this, and you're right, there is a lot of buy-in, a lot of weighing in terms of looking at the budgets. And you know, we look at it from this perspective too. In the spring, as we've just kind of come through here, we look at what if everything's great, you know, financially, what would we do? What if there is no improvement in the crystal ball that is the budget? And what if we have to cut? What does that look like? So everybody's pretty good with the first two pieces of that, but what if we have to cut? That gets really tough, because when you make significant cuts, you're almost always talking about people or programs, and that gets really emotional. But we go through that every year. What does a 1% cut look like? What does a 2% cut look like?
And it really requires each department to sharpen their pencil and say, okay, are there some things we could do without this year? And of course, one of the things you never want to do is impact student achievement in a classroom. But are there areas that we could cut? And I know this district has run lean for a very long time, and we've had community members that have come forward and have looked at our books and said, yep, you guys are
we run really lean, and I say that, and I know I'm biased. This is my 4th year here, but one of the things I really noticed when I got here was how conservative we approach putting together the budget. We really do. We have an opportunity to raise more funds locally. We have the authority to do that. But our Board of Education and our administrative services or budgeting services folks really keep our feet to the fire in terms of running a very lean budget, and we do that.
Right, and recognizing that all of these people working on the budgets are also taxpayers themselves. So, you know, there's buy-in and there's something in it for them as well. Plus, we have community members who sit on our committee as well to give input and say, you know, should we be doing this, or you know, just sort of weighing the options. And that community involvement is very important.
We have a lot of critical eyes that look at the budget, and of course the whole budgeting process is a public process, so folks can weigh in at virtually any point in that process, and we know that putting the budget together is not done in a vacuum.
Right.
So it's a very public process.
Lots of eyes, lots of hands involved in trying to.
And it gets tough, but in the end, Todd Veek and the folks in his department do a great job and have really led us down a good path, financially speaking.
Right. Well, there's obviously lots of information. If you're into numbers, check out those numbers. There's a ton of places on the website where you can get budget information, and if you want to weigh in, we are tentatively planning to adopt the budget in the second board meeting in April, with a firm adoption, then a final adoption, the first board meeting in July. So certainly, take a look at the numbers and weigh in if you have a question, or offer us a suggestion as well. Thanks for joining us today on Envision.